Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to today's webinar. We'll get started in just a couple of minutes. Betsy, would you like to sing us a song while we wait?
I was about to say.
I mean, I
can.
can.
You expected
You want to
it.
do
Remember, we told
the
you.
Jeopardy? The what?
Said we told you to prep one.
Da-da-da-da-da-da. I feel like one of those monkeys that's performing. And you just like turn the little thing on the back. Dance, monkey, dance.
Yeah, I'll give it some time.
I wish I could see the chat because I would love to hear where everybody's watching from.
Can we not see it?
No, I don't think so. Can we?
You can open up the chat. Just hit.
Oh no, mine just said. Oh yeah.
The panelists can only respond to hosts and panelists, I think, but
Oh.
we can see.
Oh, here we go. I'm seeing people.
There it is.
Yes,
Hey,
I can.
Jacob's from USAA. Courtney, USAA.
Yay.
No, we cannot see you guys. Vanessa.
Yeah, audio and video is turned off automatically for all attendees, so you still have to worry about that. But if you want to post where you're from and what association you're representing,
we're all over the place.
I know.
Loving it.
Vanessa, Shane. Yeah, I'm loving it.
I'm going to apologize in advance because I can already see that one of my cats is planning her jump over to this area. So just get prepped for that at some point. She's stalking. Oh, hey, Shane.
I know.
Shane is the other half of Shetsy.
Fishman and Wakefield.
Oh.
Loving all the companies, all the different ones. That's great.
So great.
So great. Jacob, the first person, he's maintenance in our area. Great guy.
Hannah Bieber, do you know the Cincinnati song? There is a song, in case you did not know. I have sung it multiple times to Don Brenner.
Thanks, Shane. My husband was the person behind our costume this year. We did Barnacle Boy and Mermaid Man.
That was really cute.
And then my daughter was Wednesday, and she took it to the max. She didn't want to do Wednesday, so she didn't have to smile when she was trick-or-treating. That is my child.
You do know the song, Hannah. I love it.
All right, everyone. I think we can get started. Good afternoon and welcome to today's webinar. My name is Stephanie Hurst. I'm the Member Programs Manager here for the National Apartment Association. Thank you for joining us. Before we get started, I wanted to share NAA's antitrust compliance and legal disclaimer. Please take a moment to review while I go over a few housekeeping points for today's webinar. This presentation is being recorded and will be posted on the webinars page of NAA's website by early next week. During the discussion, you may type questions into the chat box on your screen, and we'll share them with today's panel. And now I'm pleased to introduce today's moderator, Vice Chair of NAA's Next Gen Committee, Miss Betsy Kirkpatrick. Betsy?
Thanks so much, Stephanie. Welcome, everybody. We're so excited to have you here today. Disclaimer, in case you couldn't tell, I am not a 20 in their 20s. Haven't been for some time, so just putting that out into the universe. But this is something that is incredibly near and dear to my heart as the Vice Chair of the Next Gen Committee for NAA. And I have been incredibly involved on my local and state Next Gen as well. So this is something that we definitely want to push and find those best and brightest. So a little bit about our Next Gen Committee mission. It's to identify and engage emerging industry leaders who are between the ages of 25 and 45 through career development, professional networking, and community outreach. Each year, the program is included in the committee's scope of work, and volunteers work tirelessly to make improvements review, judge, and score each application that comes in and plan both virtual and in-person activities for the selected participants. It's a lot of work, but it's a ton of fun and we love doing it. Let's move on to the next. Here's a couple of things that are just basic information, requirements, and consideration. So your company does have to be a member of NAA. And if you're a member of your local affiliate, you are a member of NAA, just in case you were wondering. You must be 29 years of age or younger on June 21st, 2024. You need to be employed full-time in the rental housing industry. So that could be supplier or owner or someone that works with the association executives themselves. And you need a demonstration of making a meaningful impact in the workplace. For the selection process, it is very lengthy on our end. We're going to have a maximum of 20 applicants will be selected based on the following: the quality of their overall written application, innovative ideas, demonstration of leadership, their letter to self, career goals, and then their references, one professional and one personal. We're always looking at this application process to revise it and make it better. So when you actually go in and see the application, you'll see we've made some changes from last year to this year, and also just based on feedback from previous participants. You can move on. Since the program's inception in 2019, we have over 500 applications that have been received. 100 emerging leaders have been recognized and celebrated as the best and brightest in rental housing at 5 different apartmentalized events. But the impact goes so much deeper than that, which brings us to right now. It's my pleasure to introduce today's panel of 20 in their 20s alumni. First, we have Andrea Graham. She's the Director of Membership Services for the Upper State Apartment Association. Will you tell us a little bit about yourself, please?
Yeah, so I am in Greenville, South Carolina with Upper State Apartment Association. So Director of Membership Services, I oversee education, events, committee, and membership here at the local level. My kind of career path into multifamily started when I was 19 at Clemson University. I started in student housing, so super fun, super stressful as a 19-year-old, if anyone's in student housing. But then I went into the event side due to my major, and in 2019, I moved back to Greenville, South Carolina, and I saw this job where I could become an events coordinator, but also in multifamily. So kind of 2 things I had experience in, and I've almost been here 5 years. So it's been a wonderful career path. This big Andrea fan, big fan to you, Vanessa. Thank you. But this program, 20 in your 20s, has absolutely skyrocketed my career and opened up so many doors, and I'm excited to talk about it.
Love it. Next, we have Tyler Marker, Director of Marketing and Professional Development with Zidane Management Group. Tyler?
Well, hello, everyone. I appreciate the opportunity to speak with all of you today and be a member of the panel here. I similarly got my start in college at Purdue University, also working in student housing, and right with humble beginnings. It was a lot. It's a lot of work. Student housing is no joke. They are brave people that turn. And I worked in that throughout my college career. And then upon graduation, I worked in the Indiana State House as a policy analyst within the Senate. And I very much missed being creative. And I really enjoyed the environment that I had when I was in college working in property management. And so similarly, at the same time as just deciding that for myself, my old SVP reached out to me saying, I'm not sure where you are, what you're doing, or what your plans are. She was Southern. I loved her for it. And she said, but we have an opening.
Sugar?
Oh, she what?
She said sugar?
Yes. And she said we had an opening for a marketing director on site in Muncie, Indiana. I think I saw somebody joining from that. And that's where I got my start. I did student housing for 5 years, moved over to the Indiana Apartment Association for 2, and then am now here at ZMG as their Director of Marketing and Professional Development. The 20 in their 20s, I highly encourage, because Betsy did say you can be 29 and still do it. I did it at 29. We're almost 30 here this month. But it has been such a reflective experience for me, rounding out a decade of my first, decade of my professional career. What impact have I had? What meaning have I had? How have I helped other people in their journey? And so this has been a really good milestone, just as a really nice way to button up my 20s. And I really appreciate the opportunity to have and speak to young people in our industry and encourage them, because we need more young people. We need more energetic, thriving, innovative people that are passionate. And that is exactly what this group does. So I'm really happy to be here.
I love it. Thanks so much, Tyler. And last but not least, Dewey Vu, Director of Marketing for the Associated Management Company. Take it away, sir.
Thank you so much, Betsy. So yes, my name is Dewey. I am the Director of Marketing for Associated Management. I've been with them for a little over 2 years, about 2.5 now. I got started in the industry right out of college, so I wasn't that cool. I didn't join it in student housing, but I was graduated. I was in marketing, didn't know what I wanted to do. Land and Company out of the Grand Rapids area in Michigan picked me up as leasing, and I went through leasing, maintenance coordinator-ish business, and then assistant manager before I landed a marketing manager role. Did that for a number of years. And before I transitioned over to the east side of the state in the Detroit area for Associated Management, I have served on quite a few local, state, and national committees now as well. I also serve on the board for local states, and see where it goes. And 20 in their 20s was a huge asset to that. They allowed me to really build up my network, understand how things worked, and help me flourish.
Awesome. I just noticed that we all have director in our title. It's a director extravaganza here today, guys. All right, so let's get down to it. I want to hear from each of you what the favorite thing you learned or that you gained from your experience with 20 in their 20s. And I'll start with Tyler.
Ooh, okay. Well, for me, I had been like Dewey, and he's done quite a bit more than I have, but I also serve on local, statewide, and national committees as well. So I had been to apartmentalize. That this year would have been my 3rd year. So I had been through it. I had been to the conferences and the committee meetings and all of that, and I absolutely love it, helping out and being part of it. But for me, where the 20 in their 20s, what I learned was that we have, I mean, not that I didn't know this, but we have really incredible upcoming leaders in this industry. And to see them put themselves out there in the way that you have to on this application, I know that Stephanie and Betsy have talked a bit about what are the requirements of this. Authenticity is such a key factor in this. At least it was for me in my application. I didn't spend as much time writing my application as I did actually reflecting on it. And because again, just at the stage in life that I was at that point, and where I'm going. And so just to see what these young people put themselves through, they put themselves out there in a way for people to review. We saw, I believe, a record number of applicants in 2023, which is incredible. I think Stephanie and Betsy had shared that. And just to see, I'm just so proud to be part of a group of young people that are so passionate, just to see that passion that they already know themselves at such an early age. I was still figuring it out in my early and mid 20s. And so the fact that they already know who they are, they're doing it on purpose. I have such hope for our industry.
Man, I blocked out the majority of my early 20s, just going to be real with you.
No comment. No comment.
All right, Dewey, what about you?
I think my favorite part was just a better understanding of things. This was when I got my 20 in their 20s. I was part of the 2019 class, and I was in Denver, and it was my second time attending Apartmentalize. And if you've gone, I think a good chunk of people have at this point, obviously, right? Every year we send more and more people. It's kind of scary. Like, there's so much going on. You have like the best speakers from across this country coming there. All the leaders are there. They're in one room. You can get your hands on anything you want for products, services. And so my company sent me and I went, but my company, we had sent it with, there's no like specific expectations, just kind of go immerse yourself, which is great, but also a really great way to get absolutely lost. So I felt like the smallest fish in the world, with all these people around me. And I'm like, I am so scared. These are like giants. They're the VPs, they're the owners, they're moving and shaking, and they're people that are my age that are also just like changing the world. And I'm like, I don't know. And so when 20 in the 20s became available, and I had applied for it, it was connecting with the people there and understanding that there's more. I didn't notice all of them, but they were there in San Francisco as well. So seeing them in Denver, connecting with them, knowing about what was going on, but then also understanding that the people that are 1, 2, 3, 4 rungs above you in leadership, they're so accessible. I think that's my favorite part about the industry is everyone's very accessible. So you have these mentors that can guide you, they can lead you. And this program helped me get connected with the people on my tier and then all above me that would be willing to help me.
Great. I love that. It can be like drinking from a fire hose the first time that you go, for sure. All right, Andrea, what about you?
Yeah, I'm kind of piggybacking on what Dewey said. I was kind of going back and forth talking about, the people that the Next Gen Committee and 20 in Your 20s has allowed us to meet, because at Apartmentalize, you're sitting front row, you're having your mentors walk you around and meet those heavy hitters in NAA, which is like an incredible opportunity. But I really do think that the best part and it has allowed me to grow the most is those opportunities to meet people that are kind of the same age as me and seeing like the routes they're taking, piggybacking, like tossing up conversations with them and ideas. The mentorship program and ambassador program that the Next Gen Committee has created to help the 20 in your 20s people that attend Apartmentalize, making sure that they're going to the getting your headshots, going to the breakfasts, getting everything you can out of that Apartmentalize so you don't feel like such a small fish in a big pond. I think that was probably the most prominent thing my first time around. And obviously like the relationships I've built, like some of my best friends in this industry, I never would have met if I wasn't a recipient of this award. And I mean, we're talking Kansas City, Atlanta, Orlando, like my 3 closest friends are across the nation. And so I wouldn't have been able to do that without this program. And I've grown so much and met so many people because of it. And I think that has been my absolute favorite part.
I love it. What are some opportunities that have been presented to you or have come about because of being recognized as one of the best and brightest in the industry? I'll start with Dewey on this one.
So I had submitted for this end of 2018, beginning of 2019. And at that point, I was serving on local. I was with my prior company, and I was getting more and more involved on the legislative for the committee, because I think anyone on this call right now could tell, we're dealing with a lot of legislative issues across the country. But it was kind of where I kind of got acclimated with presenting our industry and talking to them. But this program allowed me to take these local topics that I was working on and then elevate them up to the state and the national level. So since then, I've been able to, I was on the board, but I ended up getting a executive role because they saw that what this could represent, who I am, a younger leader, fresh mindset being brought in there. And so that allowed for me to serve on the local and state. I served as an executive board member, as a VP, eventually a president. Today, I serve as the past president now for both of them, and I'm running for another board. I love to get involved, and I know that the impact that it had on me to let me grow, get connected, serve in these roles has now become, I need to guide and help anyone else that's going through the program that is interested in development, interested in being a mentee for someone. So that's the biggest thing, is like it lets you know what's available, it lets you get connected to people, and then it lets you grow and help others as you continue on your journey.
You know what I think is really cool about that is one of the biggest things that I think this really allows you to do is sometimes because you are younger, you get overlooked as someone who can bring people along with you. And so it's so cool that when you participate in this and it starts to open those doors, you get to do exactly what you were wishing that somebody would have done for you, which is reach backwards and bring people with you and highlight that next generation of talent that's coming behind and make sure that they're set up. So I love that. That's great. Andrea, how about you?
Yeah, so obviously the biggest opportunity that this program created right after I went through in 2021 was Betsy Kirkpatrick asked me and 3 other people to speak at Apartmentalize, and we got selected. So my next year, directly after our 20 in your 20s year, me, Vanessa, Eddie, and Eric took the stage in San Diego to speak at Apartmentalize about your next leader looks like me. And it was more so like, hey, we are the future. We are the next generation. This is what we look like. And it was really successful and definitely like groundbreaking for each of us. And I want to say, as speaking to both parts, the people that are applying, but also the people that need to push the people to apply. The people that are applying, like there's so many doors that can open once you go through this program. Me speaking at Apartmentalize was just one, but also to piggyback off what Betsy said earlier, those that are looking into possibly throwing someone's name in the hat, like you need to push these people for their professional development. If they're an employee of yours, this is how they stay an employee of yours. You're investing in them. It is so important to invest in your employees. Like you're like, oh, well, Apartmentalize, they get to go for free, but there's airfare and hotels and this and that. Okay, but that is so minor compared to like the longevity that they will have with your company if you throw their name in the hat and invest in them. So if you're kind of on that teetering point on should I or shouldn't I, like absolutely do it. And then also nominate, please.
I love that. Largely because having been on the side of like staffing that I am, I see people and they'll have conversations with me about why they're leaving companies and going other places. And one of those reasons a lot of times is because they don't feel like the company is willing to invest in them to move forward. And to invest in that professional development in that way, because like maybe they're scared they're going to get taken or whatever the situation might be. But when it comes down to it, the thing that really gets people involved and excited about your company is that they know that you believe in them and that you're willing to help them move forward to that next level. So that's 100% true. How about you, Tyler?
Well, to piggyback off that, it's not just you as well. Pew Research just put out their 2022 study, and among Gen Z and millennials, training and development was the #1 requested benefit. For any company member out there who's over payroll and things of that nature, pay was third, time and flexibility was second. So to invest in your people, it's like a bank account. Right? If I only put $1,000 in a bank account, I don't touch it for 5 years, and then I go look at that account. What do I have? $1,000, but with time value of money, it's worth less now. Your people are the same way. If you initially hire them, don't continue to invest in them, they can't continue to add value to you as a company, and they're going to leave. And so you have to invest in your people. And this is a wonderful way to do that. If you are someone who is in a nominating position, I highly recommend that you do that. I was actually encouraged to apply. I was probably not going to apply on my own. I didn't know if I had a story worth sharing in that sense. And because that's what you do with this application, you share your story, you share your truth, you share, at least for me, I shared the areas where as a leader, as I was learning to be a leader, where did I grow? What mistakes did I make? How did I learn from that? What I gained from leading people in different ways over the years. I'm so proud of so many people I've had the joy to mentor and work with over the years. They're going on and doing incredible things. And to be in that position is incredible. As far as the opportunities that this presented itself, I mean, Dwee and Andrea really touched a lot on a lot of great points. And I think all of us here in this room, if you're in this decade, in this position, at least for me, I've always been the youngest in the boardroom. I've always been the youngest at the table. And I did apply to law school. I got in, but on one of my interviews, it was, what was your greatest adversary this far? And I was 22 at the time. And I said, the perception of my age, that I'm too young, that I don't know what I'm doing, or that I'm not capable yet, or that I'm too headstrong, we're young, we're headstrong, we're not willing to learn. What can we really contribute? We need to pay our dues. I think the perception of my age at that time was my greatest adversary, because if we allow and we bring up, like Dwee and Andrea said, if we bring up our young people with us, that is only going to make us stronger as an organization, as an association, as an industry. And I've been so thankful to have incredible mentors, like Andrea said, all around the country. I think some of my best friends, yes, are nowhere anywhere near me. They're incredible, and they're from this industry. And I met them through Apartmentalize. I met them through the committees. I met them through my time at IAA. And the impact and the messaging that you learn and absorb from these leaders, just being in the same space as them, that adds value to you that you can then take on to your company, and they see that bang for their buck, that, oh, sending my team, sending my people to this event is really something that benefits us as well, not just them. And so if you're out there in this age range, wondering whether or not you should apply or if it's time yet, do it. It is one of the most rewarding things that I have done. I have had now the pleasure to speak at AIM in Huntington Beach. That was my first industry conference. And so that was my first time speaking this year. And now I have been thankfully asked to join 4 different speaking submissions for NAA for next year. So fingers crossed we get picked for one. And so it's just, and as Andrea said, it's amazing to go from being an attendee to your first Apartmentalize, listening to these giants in the industry. Like Dwee said, these are the best of the best speakers. These are the most brilliant minds in our industry who are speaking. And to go from watching that in the back row, taking notes vigorously because it's such a packed room, to now vigorously typing notes of an outline to present to this as if we have something truly genuinely worth saying and to be heard. I mean, that's a very special realization, and the doors just continue to open. So this certainly would propel a young career, or it would solidify a already budded career. I highly recommend it.
One of the things that you said that really struck a chord with me is that, like, you haven't paid your dues. And I feel like that's a tone that I have heard a lot, but I'll just say, like, since this has started, I have been going to NAA for some years. And when I first started, I was probably the youngest person, and I was in my early to mid 30s. I was one of the youngest people at the time. And now to walk around and see the diversity of age in the room, even just from 2019 to now, the difference has been so exorbitant in that time frame. And I credit this for being a large part of that, because it helps people to see that you don't have to be 40 years old in order to have your voice heard at this level. And it is valuable and it is necessary, because the people that we're talking to and that we're reaching and that are living in our communities and working in our communities are in this age range, and their voice needs to be heard. And so that just really struck a chord with me.
I think
I
also,
appreciate that.
Betsy, and this isn't so much 20 or 20s, but Apartmentalize, like, we're seeing a lot younger people and more diverse, because NAA has worked really hard to not just have those education classes for those C-suite individuals. And I think that change is so important, because the second that our C-suite or our bosses see, oh my gosh, there's such a diverse educational offerings here, like, it pushes them to allow, I'm not going to say allow us to go, but it looks more enticing to send us to go. So I think NAA as well, on the Apartmentalized Committee, and NAAEI for making it more diverse for our generation to get that information.
That's
Well,
huge. Yeah.
I mean, again, just to piggyback off of that, I think NAA understands that millennials and Gen Z are the largest segment of the workforce at this point in America. I mean, that's just a statistical fact. And we in our industry are very heavy in those generations as well. So like you said, Andrea, those are our boots on the ground. These are our people working in this industry. These are the up and coming, emerging, incredible people that we have. So to cater to them specifically and allow a conversation that includes them is so vital, because this is what the future looks like in our industry. I mean, it's all of you on this call, and hopefully those that you encourage to nominate and to apply. I mean, that's our future. So let's bring them into the conversation now.
And if there's anyone on the call that's like, back to what Andrea said earlier about not wanting to get involved, worried about sending them to a local association, state, an event, national, because they're going to get cherry picked and then you're going to lose them. Think about it the opposite way. When you do these things as a company, you're encouraging them, you're developing them. All you're going to do is attract the best and the brightest. It's 100% why I joined my current company. My last company was great. They flourished me, they developed me, they let me make mistakes because I had a wonderful mentor that really let me make mistakes rather than having to pay dues. I was able to go, she'd go, that's an interesting idea. I'll let you do it and then see how it plays out. Sometimes it was great. Sometimes I was like, yes, my idea is great. I'm a genius. Other times that couldn't have gone worse. That could not have gone worse. She goes, yes, it's awful. I did it too. Let's come back. Let's come back to the office, because she would let me make the mistakes and really understand what happened. And then she'd pull me into her office privately and we would talk about what was wrong, what was not. Her personal leadership to me was amazing. I also have that now with my current company, and they continue to develop me. So finding those leaders, being a company that wants to invest in your people, to let them make mistakes, priceless.
Scott Wilkerson is one of my favorite people in the industry. And he's always like, a lot of people don't want to invest in their people or train them well because they're like, well, what if they go somewhere else? Well, the opposite of that is that you have uninvested, untrained people working for your company. And so which one is worse, really?
I mean, I actually have a rule on my team that I don't want them in their current role for longer than 5 years. If you are in your existing role with me, if I'm your direct team lead and you are in that role unchanged for 5 years, we have a problem. Every single quarter, I meet with my people to talk about how it's a development call. What are your goals? What are we here to achieve? And if that means going somewhere else, okay, I'll prime you for that. That is, I want you to achieve that. And that is almost reverse psychology too, because now they are so dedicated to being as part of the team, because we're here committed to them and growing them, and we put a plan in place for them. And this platform, 20 in their 20s, recognizes that. And at least on my application, a leader isn't necessarily, at least in my view, defined by their successes. They're defined by their lessons. And I've done a lot of learning. I've never lost, but I've learned, and I've learned a lot. And that was what I put on my application, was where are those moments that were pivotal and important to me, where I learned and grew as a leader, not necessarily the achievements, the awards, the accolades. I mean, those are great, and that comes with it. But if your mission is to learn and is to grow as an individual, as a professional, and to contribute, the accolades, the awards, that will all follow. And what 20 in their 20s does is it seeks out the individuals that are committed to contributing, not just looking for a resume booster. I mean, I think that reads very clearly on an application why you're doing this. And so really ask yourself, why am I wanting to do this? And if your inclination is, I'm not ready, you're ready. That's the perfect indicator to yourself. You are ready. If you're questioning whether or not this is for you, if you would qualify, that's the exact reason you need to apply.
Along those lines, it's a great segue. Thank you for feeding that right on over, Tyler. Wanted to get into some tips for applying. How do you make yourself stand out in an application? And since you were just talking about it, you said a couple of things, Tyler. Why don't you add on a couple more and then we'll move forward?
Yeah, sure. So, I mean, I know I mentioned being authentic, and there's a lot of components to this application. I don't want to sugarcoat that. But I know years ago during Dewey, and I don't know if Andrea, if you also had to do the video, I did not. I was 2023, and I think that was the first class they removed the video. So there's not a video submission, but there are several pieces to this, like Stephanie had mentioned earlier. And so again, for me, it was very reflective. I guess I can only speak about it from my perspective. I was not early mid-20s when I did this. I was 28, almost 29 I was 29 when I did this. And yeah, the Botox is really kicking in. I'm really proud I can raise that eyebrow pretty high, actually. It might be time to go back. But but for me, it was a very reflective piece. I had been placed in opportunities of leadership throughout my career. Not necessarily I'm the boss, I'm in charge. No, but I had an opportunity to coach someone. I had an opportunity to lead somebody. As I started as a leasing consultant, worked my way up to a regional, I had teams part with me. And so my application, like I said, I probably reflected for 2 or 3 weeks pretty hard on my application. And then I wrote it within a matter of a day or two, because I had spent a lot of time reflecting on what I wanted to say. And mine was very raw, in the sense of, here's a mistake I made. Here's the journey I've had. Here's what I learned from that. Here's how I apply that today as a leader. Here's my approach to people as a leader. So I showed my growth period. And if you're not growing, you're dead. I mean, really. And your 20s are a time to make mistakes. I mean, we can always make mistakes. That is okay. Like Dewey said, having an environment where it is safe to make a mistake that you can learn from is so crucial. And my 20s was very much that. And so for me, the way I feel like I stood out, and I wasn't a judge, but I was very truthful. Betsy was a judge. And
I was your judge.
Oh, thank you. But I thought I was very truthful, very raw, very authentic and honest and open with mine. And also my favorite question was, what do you think our industry is lacking? I think that's still going to be on there. Or what is a missing piece in our industry? Something along those lines. I think is that question still on there, Betsy?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, something to that effect. I loved that question, because where a lot of people might go to tech, innovation, et cetera, which are all very important because we still need it. Mine was more about our people. How are we addressing the turnover, the lack of appeal in our industry, and how can we better appeal to people? And the 20 in their 20s is a great way to do that. If the majority of the workforce is millennials and Gen Z, why not champion that movement in our industry as yourself applying for this to then be an advocate thereafter for our industry? If you are seen as the best and the brightest in this industry, that's going to attract like-minded people. And so that was my piece. Very authentic, very raw, very open, very reflective. And I told them a story and it worked out.
I really loved because it did stand out in the way that you said, because it was very reflective. You could tell it was very people-centric, and in the grand scheme of things, we're a people industry, right? So we absolutely need tech. We absolutely need a lot of things that are more automation related and other things like that. Absolutely. But when it comes down to it, we're a people industry. We wouldn't have this industry without an individual that is living in our community. So
and to be part of an industry that celebrates the individual.
Yeah,
right?
Correct.
None of us need to be cookie cutter. And that's the beautiful part about the 20 in their 20s. Again, I've not seen the judging process. I might in the future. I might if they ask. But I would imagine this program celebrates the individual, not do you fit a mold, not have you achieved XYZ. They're not looking for, have they done this certification and that award? And that's not likely what they're looking for. It's more of, who are you as an individual? And you do have a story worth telling.
Yeah, I love that. How about you, Andrea?
So I was one of Tyler's judges as well. And I will say, I don't know.
You also
Dewey,
judged on this webinar.
Dewey, have you judged before? Dewey, have you judged? Oh, okay. So it is a process. It takes a lot of time. And I mean, say there's 100 applications. Well, you're filling those out. You know how much you're writing in those applications, all the resumes, all the letters of recommendation. We have to read those. So where I'm getting at is as a judge, I don't want to read the same thing 100 times. So when I say that, think outside the box. I mean, out of 100 applications, if 90 of them have something about innovation in AI, I mean, those 10 that don't are going to be like, oh, wow, they are thinking a little bit different, right? So I definitely think where Tyler did his reflection, I did more research when submitting my application originally back in 2021. I looked at what have people submitted in the past. NAA on the 20 Year 20s page, you can look at what people have submitted. You can see how they've answered those questions. Do your research if that's kind of the way you like to process things. That way, you know you're submitting something different than that's been said 100 times. Because as a judge, I mean, it doesn't stand out. We want to see your authentic self, but also I want to see something unique. I want to see something that like piques my interest. Your resume, it's a resume, you know, it's a list of achievements, but I really want to like dive into your mind when reading these questions and like the answers that you're providing. When I'm looking at your letters of recommendation, like some of the coolest ones I saw were like, for the personal ones, we're like best friends. They know you the best. They know like your ins and outs, your little quirks. Like I loved reading those. So just think of that, do your research, but also don't wait. You can tell when an application was rushed, and you can tell that they're just like Googling most innovative things in multifamily for 2024. So I just think you really need to think about it. And that's what I did for mine, but also that's what I look for as a judge.
When you said unique, the other thing I wanted to add to that is we have, several marketing on this particular call. And in years past, we had a lot of marketing people put their names in the hat for this, especially because it required a video, and a lot of, people were not necessarily comfortable with that unless they did, some type of marketing. But I will say something that we find very interesting and we love to have is just a diversity of styles of a job. I want to see people from maintenance. I want to see people from accounting. I want to see people from marketing. I want to see people from the property. I want to see everybody. So don't let what you do be the thing that keeps you from doing it, because if anything, that's an asset to you as we're looking at your application. So
I mean,
just something
I work for an association. I was like, I don't even know if they'll even look my way because, 20 in your 20s, NAA, like it's all about on-site teams and, suppliers. And I kind of, as a local affiliate, I'm not saying I'm in like the back, but like, we want to highlight the membership. And so I was kind of nervous to even throw my name in the hat, but I like was able to explain my job day to day. And I know we were so excited when we saw the maintenance submissions this year. It immediately like piques our interest. We're like, oh my gosh, this is such a breath of fresh air, like learning about what they get to do every day. So I definitely agree with Betsy. Don't let like your job title stray you away from applying. That does not matter.
Unique. I just saw your message. Absolutely. Don't let it keep you from doing it. I don't care what your job is, definitely still apply. And how about you, Dewey?
I was part of the first class, so we had nothing to apply for. Real quick, Carson did ask the question about where you can see these prior submissions. You can do it on the NAA website. I dropped the link in there. You can click on their name. Once you click on their name, you can see those submissions. I also had to get pushed to apply, similar to Tyler. I wasn't going to. I actually have been just pushed to do things in the industry. A lot of volunteering of like, you should join a committee. You should run for the board. You should apply for this. Can you, eventually it stops being you should do this. And then if they're asking if you have the time, but I was pushed to apply for this and absolutely agree. First thing you should do, reach out to your advocates. It's going to let them take time to respond. They want to be reflective just as much as you are. I tried to pair my personal experiences with where I was at and where I saw the industry going. I try to see it from what was going on around me. To this day, I think about how much property managers, companies, landlords, how much we're hated. By and large, right? We're trying to provide housing. We're trying to work with people. We're trying to help people get homes. And then I think about how much wrong goes bad with that when we're trying to assist people. And then all the right that happens and we don't talk about it. My owner at the time did just an absurd amount of good and he let no one talk about it. It was always under the radar. So that made me reflective of like, what's happening behind the scenes with these organizations that no one ever talks about? How do we help people? And then how can I be part of that to help people? So it was a lot of, thinking to myself, very reflective, similar to Tyler, about what my journey has been like, what I'd like to see in the future. And if anyone is thinking about AI and writing your responses using AI with this, it's going to be really generic. I'll be honest with you. That's a scraped model. Okay. Talk about yourself, talk about what you have going on, have someone else proofread it, obviously, whatever, or AI to proofread it, but don't try to shortcut it because the judges can tell when you shortcut something. I haven't judged this program, I've judged other applications and other programs. They can tell immediately when it's a phoned in conversation. So yeah, take the time for it. Right now you can go on there, pull up the questions and just have them printed out and think about it. Think about it like Tyler did. Think about it like I did. Think about it like Andrea did. Do the research. Figure out what you want to talk about. If you're proud of an award, of an achievement, it's not just listing it out, right? That's not what it's about. It's like, what did that award represent to you? What was the meaning behind it to get you there? What did you do in order to feel like, man, this was it. This was the moment that I did something in the industry. And it has absolutely nothing to do with how long you've been in the industry, what role you have within the industry. Just apply because you deserve to apply for this program.
A lot of what you guys have all said is it really all goes back to being authentic and genuine and showing that passion that you have for the industry, because that really is what sets any application for anything apart, but especially this, because you really can tell someone somebody mentioned it before, who's doing this to put a little check mark on their resume versus somebody who is actively engaged in the process and really wants to participate in this for the growth that it's going to bring them and not just for an award to put on their bio. So making sure that you do that reflection and everything is so incredibly important. Something else we had talked about before that I don't think anybody mentioned this time was also, and this is just very practical, you do have to get people to write letters of recommendation. So just making sure that you're reaching out to those people and getting those letters of recommendation in a timely fashion, because sometimes they don't get there. And then what happens is you've got an application in without your letters of recommendation. And that, I'm not saying that that's going to cripple you and make it so that you don't make it through, but it is weighted. So make sure that you do everything that you can to get both of those letters of recommendation through the process. And guys, if you have any questions, feel free to drop them in the Q&A or in the chat if you would like to do that. As we're moving kind of to the end, I'm more than willing to pop those in and ask any of those questions that you guys have. So lastly, what is your piece of advice for somebody interested in applying? Like your last and best piece of advice for somebody that's interested in applying? Andrea.
Oh, okay. Got it. As you saw me like thinking, I mean, we hit on a lot of it, like making sure your references are coming in, like double, triple check, being unique. But I think it's never a bad idea to reach out to previous winners. Maybe seeing it, like really talking with them. I mean, obviously, doing myself and Tyler all very open to speaking with whomever. I've had people at the local affiliate like ask me for assistance. But picking people's brains, finding somebody that's going to advocate for you, and yeah, just making sure you're giving yourself time. I know it's open now, so look at the questions, start thinking about who's going to write you your references, go ahead and ask them, sending the information they need. Don't wait. Either. It's so important not to wait. You don't need to wait till 12 o'clock the day it's due to hit that submit button. We want to hit it a couple days early. Okay. So yeah.
Love it. Tyler.
I mean, yeah, we did cover a lot in this. Again, going back to it, timeliness, of course, oftentimes your advocates are going to be really busy people, right? And one of them is an industry advocate, the other's a personal advocate. And so your industry, I mean, they're going to be busy. So pay that respect forward to them, give them plenty of time, like Andrea said, and the group here said, so that they can truly make it as impactful as your own application. And honestly, again, Dwee and I were both pushed. I'm so glad that I was. And so, but I had to be pushed because I didn't think that doesn't apply to me. I mean, I'm not, there's no way. And I wasn't really looking for validation either. I didn't do it for validation. So that's why I very much just chose to share my story. And if that clicked and that resonated, great. But now it has provided me a platform where I can share what I have to say with others in that room, right? Of executive leaders, the high ups, the people that can really make a difference in the industry right now, today, because in a few years, you will be in that position. And so I'm very thankful that I did it. But I think the biggest piece of advice I could give you is, if you're really questioning whether this is for you or not, or whether you've achieved enough, or your title's flashy enough, or you've gone through enough, if you're questioning all of that, you should be applying. You absolutely should be applying, because those are the questions we want you to ask yourself, because that's the kind of authenticity that's going to read through very well on an application, is because you've really taken the time to really understand, why am I doing this? I'm not doing it for the title. I'm not doing it for the trophy or the resume. Why am I doing this? So if you can genuinely answer that question in a very meaningful way, that's going to see you through in a very successful way, I think.
I agree with that 100%. And Dewey?
Since we've covered pretty much, I think, so much of like the advice that comes with submitting it, the last thing I'd want to say is a bit of a practical aspect of it. You are writing 200 words, 100 words on something. I would not focus on your word count to start. Think about the question and just write. Write whatever comes to mind. Don't worry about grammar. Don't worry about any of that. Just go, this is what I think of as my biggest achievement. This is the thing I think that comes to my mind immediately when I go, we need this in the industry. And just keep writing. Because what you're going to find is that once you start digging a little bit more, it's just going to pour right out. And then once you have it all on paper, you can go, or, the screen, you can then refine it and then go, I'm going to refine it a little bit more. And this is the part that's really, really important, that I really want to make sure it's in there, because that's going to allow you to make sure that you have time to work on all of it, and then you can refine it, and then you have a great submission and you're good to go.
I think that I hadn't thought about this, but a big part of that is doing that in your Word document first, and then Word, like spell checking it, get everything correct. You can count up the things and then paste that over. And remember to save it, because I have accidentally deleted something that I was in the process of doing one time, and I'd gotten it like real close to perfect. So, but yeah, doing it there so that you can spell check, grammar check, do all the things, and then moving it over into the thing, the actual nomination itself is very important. And then Andrea said nominate someone. So just want to bring this up, that you are able to nominate or encourage people from your company to apply to this. And as you can see, we have several people who are voluntold into doing it and have, excelled in that point. So definitely think about, who do you have in your company? If you're not that person, like I'm in my 40s, I am not going to be signing up for this. So I constantly look for people within my company to be like, who would be a good person to represent on this level? Do we have somebody that's in this range that, would enjoy doing this and that I think would be a good fit for it? So absolutely start thinking of that and who might be a good person to be like, hey, you should do this. And then really come behind them and let them know that you're supporting them in that, and that you'll help them write it if you want them to, whatever the situation might be. And we are here and available for you. Dewey is actually leaving us to go to the diversity leadership program call. Thank you, Dewey, for all that you did. Amazing job. But definitely think that that's a big, big part of it. I can't say enough about this program and how much it has done, I think, for NAA as a whole, but just for me personally, to be able to meet and help mentor this group of people as they're coming through. It's been life-changing for me, and I hope it's been life-changing for all the people that have come through it. Unique, yes, you will be notified if you are not selected. Yes, for sure. It's a good question. So the details and the link to the application are available. It's naahq.org/20s, and the deadline to apply is December 15th. You have a few people that are on this call that have applied before, so you can definitely reach out to them and ask questions, or you can hop on over to the website and look at previous people on there as well and see if you want to reach out to them. We are available though, and we'd love to be able to answer any questions that you have. And I think that is it. If we don't have any more questions, a huge shout out and thank you to our panelists today, Andrea, Dewey, and Tyler. You guys did an amazing job, and for the Next Gen Committee for putting this together. And thank you, Stephanie, for being our fearless leader. Y'all have a wonderful day. Oh, last but not least, huge shout out to Ronald Harrington. He has been the 20 in their 20s basically father for the past 3 years and has been stewarding this subcommittee. And so we're such a huge fan of Ronald. Thank you for being such a big part and for taking this under your wing. You guys are amazing, and have a wonderful, wonderful day. Hope to see you guys soon.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you. Bye.